June 2nd, 2023. Ocala, Florida. A mother walks across a grassy field toward her neighbor's apartment, her 10-year-old son by her side. She's angry. Someone has just thrown roller skates at her child. She knocks on the door, calls out, demands answers. What happens next will take less than 60 seconds, but the shockwaves will be felt across the entire nation. This is the story of Ajike Owens, a single mother of 4, a devoted Christian, a woman whose only crime was protecting her children, and the neighbor who killed her through a locked door. On the surface, the apartment complex in Ocala looked like any other working-class neighborhood in Central Florida. Families coming and going, kids playing outside, the kind of place where everyone knows everyone. But beneath that surface, something toxic had been brewing for years. Susan Louise Lawrence, 58 years old, white, living alone in a ground-floor apartment. And by all accounts, she had one very specific problem with her neighborhood: children playing outside. Not just any children, specifically the children of her neighbor, Ajike Owens. According to police records, deputies had been called to respond to disputes between Lawrence and the Owens family.
Having problems with the neighbor's children, they come up to me and just scream like idiots. And I lost my nerve today. I just couldn't take it anymore. I called the kids retards. Then the mother comes screaming at me, "Don't call my children retards. I'm going to put you in a nursing home." Is there anything I can do with these people? Because they're getting ridiculous. I mean, I don't bug anybody. I'm a single woman. I work from home. I'm peaceful and quiet. I'm like a perfect neighbor.
6 documented incidents, all centered around the same issue: kids playing in a grassy area near Lawrence's apartment. A neighbor who lived across from Lawrence later described her as angry all of the time about the children's presence. She would verbally harass them, shouting what witnesses called nasty things whenever they played nearby. But it went beyond yelling. During the investigation, Lawrence admitted, on record, to using racial slurs toward Owens's children. She called them the N-word. She referred to them as black slaves. A grown woman, screaming racial epithets at children. Ajike Owens didn't back down. She was 35 years old, a mother who lived for her 4 kids, a team mom for football and cheerleading, a manager in the restaurant and hospitality industry. And she wasn't about to let anyone terrorize her children, not in their own neighborhood. The tension escalated. Lawrence threw objects, made threats. She called the police repeatedly, accusing the children of trespassing and harassment. And on June 2nd, 2023, that tension exploded. It started like so many nights before. Owens's children were playing in the grassy field next to the apartment complex, roller skating, laughing, being kids. Susan Lawrence watched from inside. Then she came outside. She began yelling again. And then she threw a pair of roller skates at Owens's 10-year-old son, striking him in the foot. Witnesses later said she may have swung an umbrella at another child as well. The kids ran home and told their mother. Ajike Owens had endured years of harassment, the slurs, the aggression, the constant complaints. But this time, it was different. This time, her child had been physically assaulted. Owens walked across the field toward Lawrence's apartment, her 10-year-old son beside her. She knocked on the door, multiple times. She called out, demanding Lawrence come outside and explain herself. Inside the apartment, Susan Lawrence was already on the phone with 911. She claimed she felt threatened. The call ended. Moments later, Lawrence grabbed her .380 caliber handgun, a weapon she had purchased the year before because of prior conflicts with Owens. The door was locked, windowless, solid. Ajike Owens stood outside, unarmed, with her child beside her. Susan Lawrence fired a single shot through the door. The bullet struck Ajike Owens in the upper chest.
911 was the address of the emergency.
I think somebody just got shot. I heard one shot and everybody screaming, call the police, call the police. And I think somebody got shot. And I got pushed over here. Hey, somebody call 911. Yes.
My neighbor has been screaming at the kids outside, and all of a sudden I heard what to me sounded like a gunshot,
It's the old lady that always calls the cops over here.
Alright, and it looks like we're receiving multiple calls in reference to this also.
911, what is the object?
My brother got shot. His mom got shot. And is your mom laying in the ground? Yes!
911 status of the emergency.
162, just like mother, oh my God, this one just trying to break that one door. I died.
Okay, what is your name? Okay, what's going? Take a deep breath for me. Calm down.
By the time deputies arrived, already en route from the earlier call, they found Owens lying on the ground, her son screaming beside her. She was rushed to the hospital. She was pronounced dead shortly after arrival. A mother, gone, for knocking on a door. When detectives questioned Susan Lawrence days later, her explanation was simple: self-defense. She claimed Owens had been pounding aggressively on her door, that she feared the door would be forced open, that she believed she was in mortal danger. But investigators immediately saw problems. The physical evidence told a different story. The door was locked. There were no signs of forced entry. No damage. No indication the door was close to giving way. Then, there was the timeline. Lawrence had just gotten off the phone with 911. She knew police were already on the way. She could have stayed in her bedroom. She could have put another locked door between herself and Owens. She could have waited. Instead, she chose to grab her gun. She chose to stand in front of the door. And she chose to fire. There were witnesses. Owens' 10-year-old son stood there and watched his mother knock and call out. He saw everything. She wasn't breaking down a door. She wasn't armed. She was demanding answers. Then came Lawrence's own admission. She told investigators she bought the gun specifically because of her prior conflicts with Ajike Owens. She admitted she had only fired it a few times at a shooting range, and on that night, she pulled the trigger. On June 6, 2023, 4 days after the shooting, Susan Lawrence was arrested. She was charged with manslaughter with a firearm, culpable negligence, battery, and 2 counts of assault. And then the controversy began. Civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump stepped in to represent the Owens family, and questions followed. Why wasn't Lawrence arrested immediately? Why manslaughter instead of second-degree murder? The answer, according to prosecutors, centered on Florida's Stand Your Ground law. The law allows deadly force without a duty to retreat if a person reasonably believes they're in imminent danger of death or great bodily harm. It's the same law scrutinized after the killing of Trayvon Martin. Critics argue it's applied inconsistently, often along racial lines. State Attorney Bill Gladson said his office carefully examined both murder and manslaughter charges before deciding. Owens's mother, Pamela Diaz, asked the question many were thinking: when does a person get shot for knocking on a door? Protests followed. National media attention surged. The case became a symbol. And more than a year later, Susan Lawrence finally stood trial. The prosecution's case was straightforward. Lawrence was behind a locked door. Police were already on the way. She had options. She chose none of them. The defense argued fear. They portrayed Lawrence as a woman terrorized by aggressive neighbors who acted in panic. But the jury heard the full story. The years of harassment, the racial slurs, the escalating aggression. They heard Lawrence's own words admitting to yelling slurs at children. They heard about the locked door, the arriving police, the decision to fire. On August 16, 2024, the jury reached its verdict: guilty, first-degree felony manslaughter with a firearm. Lawrence showed little emotion. Sentencing would come later. At sentencing, Susan Lawrence addressed the court. She apologized. She said she never intended to kill Ajike Owens, that she was profoundly sad. The judge disagreed. He ruled the shooting was driven more by anger than fear, that Lawrence was in a safe position, that the shooting was completely unnecessary. He sentenced her to 25 years in prison.
I have the clerk read the verdict.
Verdict doesn't count one. We, the jury, find as as to count 1 of the charge. The defendant is guilty of manslaughter. Did the state prove beyond a reasonable doubt that during the commission of the offense, the defendant personally used a firearm? Yes. So say we all, dated the 16th day of August, 2024.
Ms. Lawrence, the jury has found you guilty of manslaughter with a firearm. You're going to be held in custody of the Marion County Jail without bond. Okay. Thank you and good luck to you.
Thank you, Judge. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am.
Outside the courtroom, Pamela Diaz responded plainly. The apology wasn't sincere, but she also spoke about healing, about purpose, about moving forward. She and Takema Robinson founded the Standing in the Gap Fund, a nonprofit supporting families impacted by gun violence and racial violence. They provide rapid response aid and advocate for reform. From tragedy, they built something lasting. Today, Susan Lawrence is serving her 25-year sentence in a Florida prison. Ajike Owens' 4 children are being raised by their grandmother. And the questions remain. How does a dispute over children playing outside end with a mother dead? How does firing a gun through a locked door become self-defense? How do we stop this from happening again? Ajike Owens wasn't just a headline. She was a mother, and her story demands to be remembered.